Wow. Riley and Dave are checking the cabin. I'm in the car. Hopefully there's not a killer. Hope they don't get murder, death, killed. I'm Mint Salad and I saw Friday the 13th Part 2. It is directed by Steve Miner. My previous exposure was, I saw the first one. I have a review right here actually. If you haven't seen it, go check that out because there's a very famous YouTuber collab in it. So if you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. The movie starts, we first see some flashbacks. Some chick is having some nightmares. Her name is Alice, and I feel kind of bad. What it does a good job, these flashbacks do, these nightmares, is it establishes, oh, if you forgot what happens in the first movie, well, now you know. We see, oh, well, looks like it's a Mama Voorhees, is the murder death killer in the last one. And I really like the part where it's covering the boat. I'm a big fan of boats. I'm not a big fan of boats when just some guy jumps on your boat and tries to drown you. And then a bunch of police officers try to, gaslight you. But you think it's real. And this is where the sequel starts. We see Alice, she's sad, alone. I don't know if she's sad, but she's alone in her house getting ready to sleep. And wow, she's like, oh, I'm having nightmares, oh. But then she goes downstairs, she grabs a pick, which is, it's like, wow, I have that ice pick. I didn't actually realize that I have that ice pick, but she's going very slowly. And at this point, I'm like, wow, this movie is much slower paced than the first one that I remember. I do like the tension buildup though, especially with Alice. She's like, oh, I'm gonna check, go around the corner, oh, looks like we'll be fine, I guess. And then like, oh, I guess that was just a noise. And there's moments of breaking the tension with like false, like, oh, tension, bam, it was a cat actually, okay. And then more tension builds up until eventually she gets picked in the side of the head of the temple, and I'm like, whoa, that got me. That really did get me. And then I'm like, okay, what's the premise now? Who is the murder, death, kill, or is it the Mama Voorhees' son, Jason? Is this the first appearance of Jason? Is this the first appearance of Jason that I've heard about? So I really like the part where now, 5 years later, we're following a bunch of counselors yet again. Man, why did they keep opening up that counselor place, man? Like, murders, there's 2 instances of murders. One from the 50s, one from the 70s, now it's the 80s. There's gonna be more murder, death, kills. And also, I really like the part where now we have a bunch of new camp counselors. Some of the camp counselors are like established to be returning camp counselors from previous years. There might be a couple new ones. And I really like seeing the progression of the camp counselors take on harder and harder tasks as the days go by, because this takes place over a couple of days, but there's some people who have the big old brain knowledge. Oh, I'm going to use my brain. I'm going to check out Lake Camp Crystal after finding a sign for it. I'm like, don't. Someone's telling you there were murders there? Don't, stop it. Man, I'm really trying to stay quiet because I don't want to get murder, death, killed. But these people are like, oh, I'm going to go directly into it. I'm like, no, stop going directly into murder, death, kills, okay? Please, chill out. But it's okay, because they get what they deserved. And I say that because, man, all of these teenagers are so horny. Man, I don't care. Like, this movie is pretty slow. But I think it does a really good job of building tension and then releasing it because the fact that there's so much tension that is being built, it really gives like an opportunity for when the tension is released to really get you. I got with a couple of jump scares, like what? Oh, I wasn't expecting them. So that was fun and interesting. However, wow. Teenagers having sex? This seems like a ploy to die. And guess what happens? More murder, death, kills, they kind of accelerate. It's kind of like the first one where we see like, oh, it's a murder, death, kill, and then it's like, oh, well, there's some peace, and then murder, death, kill. And it kind of like picks up at the end of it. It definitely picks up majorly by the end of it. I feel like the amount of murder, death, kills like throughout the movie compared to the end was not like proportional. And I mean, there's just a lot of murder, death, kills by the end of the movie. And I was like, oh, well, this definitely must have to be the end of the movie, right? But then there's like parts where it's like, oh, well, actually, the movie's still going because it's slow. And then it ends, and I was like, oh, wait, I didn't realize it was gonna end so soon. But I really like the part where we see, you know, camp counselors get impaled through the back while having sex. I'm like, no, sex is dangerous. This is another instance of where sex is dangerous, okay? So, you know, the teens, oh, I'm gonna have some fun. And of course, some of the teens go missing. There's a lot of camp counselors. There's some that get like picked off one by one. I personally don't remember their names because I wasn't really given any reason to care about their names. Like, there's no like backstory associated with them. I only know Alice because she's from the first one and she gets killed immediately, and I have some context for why she's here, but I just don't like that I don't know anyone else's names. All their names are introduced at some point, but there's too many names for me to keep track of. Personally, I got the face blindness too. It must be the autism. I got the face blindness, so whenever people were getting murdered, death, killed, I was like, oh wait, there's another one that goes. Is this? Am I didn't he already die or something? So yeah, that's kind of my experience, especially when it's being picked up at the end. There was one female though. She goes to the shed. The shed pops up a couple of times. A lot more than the first movie. I do remember the shed appearing in the Friday the 13th game, which I stream every Friday the 13th, so join me whenever that occurs. Wow, there's a shrine with a woman's head, and there's some sweater, and Jason is coming. Oh no, not him, gotta put on the sweater. I really like the attention to detail, where it's like, oh, hey, I'm gonna put on the sweater, but I'm gonna be grossed out by it. And I honestly was like, are you also gonna put on the mask too? Is her head just like a solid block of head, or is it like a mask? Is it like hollowed out? Is her brains gone? I'm very curious. I wonder if Jason went through all of that work to make sure that his mother doesn't have a brain anymore. So I really like the part where she's like, oh, hey, I'm your mother, I'm gonna command you. And Jason reluctantly is like, I'm gonna put my thing down. I like that part. I was like, man, is this gonna work? And then she does a dumb thing. She does not stand in front of the head no more, and so he won't be entranced. He tries to kill her again. Of course, when he tries to kill her, miraculously, she's able to evade it. But then there's like another person there that Jason's trying to kill, and she still has the machete, stabs it in his back, and then he's appeared down. And I'm like, dude, Jason's not gone. No. Jason is not gone. I know this is only part 2, but have you seen there's like other parts? Of course they couldn't tell there were gonna be other parts and like whenever this is made, but they should have. Man, it's kind of obvious. Jason will never die. But of course, I really like the part where, oh, looks like Jason is gone. Oh, where did he go? So many teenagers murdered, death, killed. Some of them survive. And then it ends on a very shot of like just slow. And I'm like, okay, this is slow, I guess. Slow. And then it ends. I'm like, okay, that was a movie. Was it as good as the first one? No. The first one, I feel like, has a lot of like backstory on the characters. More backstory on the characters than this one. Not nearly as much was introduced. But I also do like how there's another killer. The end of the last movie was a really good setup for this one. So I applaud the writers for doing this good league, doing a good. Serving that weird underwater creature guy some service. The camera work was pretty good though. I'm a big fan of the camera work. A lot of it was slow, as I mentioned so many times already, because the camera work was slow, but very consistent, steady on the actors. And then there were moments where we see a window or something like that, and then bam, a hand pops up. I'm like, whoa! Effective jump scares. The colors, I don't remember them being nearly as vibrant as the last one. Oh man, speaking of colors, I'm just thinking now, there's this woman who is hiding underneath a bed, and she's like, oh no, Jason's near. And she's hiding underneath a bed, right? But then some sort of mouse appears, and she just like pisses her pants. And I'm like, really? A mouse can't kill you. You're gonna get caught. But then, you know what happens? She doesn't. And then she's going through the dark, and I swear, she didn't have any piss on her pants. So, continuity, It was dark. Maybe I was imagining that there was no piss on our pants, but I didn't see. It's kind of easy to see if there's piss on your pants. It's like much noticeably darker than the rest of your pants, even in the night. Even in parts where there is some light, there has to be some light in order for the camera to capture anything. So that is something that I have some sort of gripe with. The fact that there was no piss on her pants. But other than that, the murder, death, kill, the fact that the introduction of the idea that Jason is controlled by his mother, well, I guess that was kind of introduced last movie. But this is definitely more realized. This is definitely like more of an example of what would happen, like the direct influence that Mama Voorhees has over Jason Voorhees. That's probably not how I pronounce the name. Hey, Dave, what's the name? What's her last name? Mama Voorhees? Is that how you pronounce it? Put it here. If I'm wrong, put it here. If I'm right, put it there anyway. So I really enjoyed this. It was a fun, shocking adventure. Not as good as the first one, but I still gotta give props to this movie for having good, effective jump scares. So I gotta give this movie a solid, 7.1 out of 10. If you like this review, tell me how I could do better in the comments below. Or you can like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. The ultimate goal of this channel is for me to become an expert movie reviewer. So if I haven't reviewed it on the channel, there's a chance I haven't even seen it at all. If you'd like to request a movie in the comments below, you can do that. Or you can fast track a movie review request. Patreon.com/ASEPresents for $20 a month. For one movie review per 1 month, $3 a month for access to the 250 ASE Daily Vlogs, or the early access to the How to Draw All the Pokedex. 151 is the goal for this year, and I'll be posting them early there at patreon.com/ASEpresents. And if you'd like to help support daily grindiness, I can't really grind in this car. If you'd like to help support the daily grindiness, you can go to this link tree. It really helps with the daily grindiness of these daily movie reviews. So go here. And until next time, I'm Mint Salad Sauce. See you later in my salad croutons and bacon bits.